Hey people, this is Pray Love, and today I'm going to talk about this fragrance, which is Britney Spears Fantasy. And why am I talking about this fragrance in the first place? It's because it's my fragrance of the day. So, yes, I wore that today. Um, I think it. I think it really smells amazing, to be honest. You might think I'm like not very critical about this, but no, I really do think it smells very, very great. And at first, my first impression of this was that I wasn't gonna wear it as much as just like put it in on my bed sheets and stuff, and just try to give an ambiance with it. But it's amazing. It's an amazing scent. It smells like there's like obvious vanilla in there. Um, it smells a bit like candy, uh, but all in a really good way because it doesn't smell like there's one fragrance that I really enjoy, but sometimes it's a bit too much for me to wear. It's Aquilina Pink Sugar. Well, if I want to get that vibe of being like very like candy-like and very sweet and very sugary and stuff, I think I would prefer to go with this one. It's warm yet fresh. It has a bit of that sun lotion vibe that I really like. So it's perfectly wearable at pretty much any occasion. You must bear in mind that this is an eau de parfum, so it does like it has a great staying power and it projects a lot. I wouldn't recommend more than 2 sprays. I did 2 sprays and I was like, wow, having like these really intense, never getting nose blind of it for all day. It's really good for that. I think I read the notes once, and I think that it mentioned something that was very peculiar for me. That they mentioned white chocolate, and there is like this white chocolate vibe there. And there's like they say cupcake note too, which is impossible because you cannot distill a cupcake, I think. But it's more like a vanilla kind of mix of aroma to do an accord that will smell like a cupcake, that will smell like white chocolate. Uh, but it's really beautiful, and it's actually like you might think that a Britney Spears fragrance aimed for teenage girls would be like very, very let's say obnoxious, but it isn't really like that obnoxious. It's a very subtle scent. It's very soothing. It's not very like it's not something that's very party like to my nose. It doesn't smell like, oh yeah, I want to be like the sexiest at a party, or no, I want to have this scent that just projects a lot and like makes a statement. This is more something that is subtle, very soothing. It has a tea-like quality that I find in every Britney Spears fragrance. Like they all have this soothing tea-like quality, which is really, really good. And this is why sometimes I like to spray like a Midnight Fantasy on my bed sheets. I think first of all it really smells sexy, so it's nice. But also it really like smells soothing. So it's like I smell that and I'm like, oh, this is good. Like these fragrances are kind of like good for the soul, which is really an interesting marketing choice by Britney Spears, and I think she hired Elizabeth Arden, if I am not mistaken, to do the company, like to do the fragrances. I don't remember who the perfumer were, but this is amazing. I mean, and 100% like wearable. Fantasy is like, yes, it is a fantasy fragrance. It's like being in a dream that is very sweet and very nice. It is like, it still has that like very sexy thing going on with the vanilla and the sugary stuff, and it's a bit fruity too. It smells a bit like a. I don't think that it is a note, but I think it smells a bit like cherry. Um, in fact, I was in my car today, and I had one whiff that this combined to the smells of a normal car when I closed the window because I was going through a tunnel, and all the smells combined together just reminded me of like my grandfather, and that he used to really like the cherry trident gums, and it just, I got a whiff that just reminded me of this because of all the combination of the fruitiness, the sweetness, and all the car elements that were there. So not saying that it smells cheap at all, but it's just that I really like that nostalgic moment when I smelled and thought of that cherry flavor. But I don't know if there is a cherry note in there, but it does remind me of that. Um, I really like the fruitiness in there. It's not something that is overly floral too, which is pretty nice also. It's very vanilla centric, and fruity. So it's kind of like that fragrance that is warm because of the vanilla and the, yeah, chocolatey notes and whatever. That's just gives it a really nice warm touch, while not being very spicy, so it's not like overwhelmingly warm. But also there is this fruity, almost aquatic sun lotion vibe also that is present, and that makes it totally wearable also in the summer. And it's like it's an all year round, easy to wear fragrance for everyone out there who really likes fruity, sweet, vanilla centric fragrances. So yes, and I think that it is still relevant today to have that kind of fragrance. I know that it is a fragrance that I think was released in the 2000s during Britney Spears' rise to fame. And I think that it's definitely still relevant today. Um, you know, I'm not a huge fan of many of the modern female oriented like fragrances out there in the market today. So I find it really refreshing when I smell back some old stuff that is not around anymore that much. You won't find like these fragrances go like insanely cheap because no one buys them anymore, and like there's still drugstores that have a couple of bottle of them, and they sell it for like very very cheap prices. So it's a cheap fragrance to get. I think that one cost me like $3 max, because I bought them in a bulk blind buy of Britney Spears fragrances and Aqualina Pink Sugar. But this is like a fragrance that will cost you like almost nothing, and that is easy to wear, and that is very powerful, big staying power, good sillage. I mean, why not? So, and was I ashamed of wearing that as a man? No. I think it's perfectly wearable as a man too, and I like do not think that, you know, it's just a question of like gender, this fragrance. I think it's just really really good, and it puts me in a very like soothing, nice vibe, in a good zone, you know. So I think it's just, it does the trick super well. um, I didn't see like many people today, so I I rarely see many people during the COVID, but um, I don't know if it's like a compliment puller or anything, and I don't really care. It just puts me in a really, really good mood, I think. So I would recommend that fragrance for anyone who likes that super sweet, nice touch. And I think that even if you're a guy, or even if you're a grown woman, you know, not a teenager and whatever, this is like super sexy. I think also like the vanilla, it's just objectively very sexy. So I think that pulling this off is very good too for anyone out there who wants to feel good, wants to feel sexy, wants to feel like a little connection to their sensual self. Yes, I'm getting very poetic right now, but yeah, try it out. You know, it doesn't cost much, and it's really, really good, and it's very, very well done. It stays like so long, and I still have it like, and it's still going strong. So, and it's been hours and hours. So I still like recommend it a lot to everyone out there who is listening to me, and remember to spread love and spray love. Bye bye.